The treasure hunting in Sonic Adventure 2 is a playstyle that's been praised a lot. People find the fairly difficult exploration to be pretty fun, but I have to say I do disagree to an extent. I really think these have been extremely overrated. Now before we get into anything at all, there's one thing I wanted to just state real quick, because I'm sure that there's going to be some people like saying skill issue or whatever, but I just wanted to kind of make that statement harder to say at least, because all of the footage that you will be seeing in this video is A rank footage. Sometimes I'll cut away to maybe something else, but all of the footage except Mad Space is A rank footage. Alright? Before any of y'all say, oh, you need to A rank the stages to have fun. Alright? I did, okay? Thanks. First things first, I do want to talk about the things I do like. First of which has to be the visuals. I know this is kind of a weird place to start, but dude, these treasure hunting stages, since they're typically pretty small, there's a lot more detail, I'd say, crammed into these levels, and they have a lot of differentiating environments. What I mean by that is that you can go into one level and you see like 3 very different areas, which is definitely something you do see in the rest of the game, but I feel like it's amplified here. So I do think these are by far the best looking stages in the game. I absolutely have to give it props for that. I also like how the objective is sometimes switched up a little bit. Sometimes you're just collecting the shards like you are most of the time, then sometimes you're collecting keys, or sometimes you're collecting just straight up emeralds on their own. And speaking of that, another thing I like is Security Hall, just as a level. It is really fun. I know people like criticize the crap out of this thing, but like, dude, it's really fun, and you want to know why? Because you're in a small space and your goal is to be fast. I feel like in a lot of the other treasure hunting stages, you don't quite get that experience, which is definitely where my problems start. Because I feel that the best treasure hunting stages are when you're in small environments. Now, I don't just mean cramped, I mean the whole map as an entire thing is pretty small. And that's the reason why I think Security Hall is good, but Egg Quarters is not fun. This definitely isn't the worst level in the game or anything, but it still is an example of what I do not like from treasure hunting levels. Because in Egg Quarters, you're in this very large map, but that entire map is just made up of cramped hallways and weird, like, timing mechanics. It's very, very, very monotonous and also tedious at the same time. Yeah, it's very weird. Now, to go alongside all of that, I know this point has been beaten to death. I'm beating a dead horse with this, but yes, the tracker does kind of suck. The fact that you can only track 1 emerald shard isn't that bad at the beginning of the game, it's whatever. But as you get closer to the end of the game, it gets more and more annoying, because I can't help but think, dude, I've been over this area and there was just a shard here, but it was hidden in some box or some enemy, somewhere I just wouldn't think to look naturally, because I'm looking for the one that's actually highlighted, the one I can actually track. This doesn't like ruin the game or anything, but it sure as heck is annoying. Now, I know this is gonna be like super confusing to a lot of people, but like I genuinely find the gliding to be very annoying to use. Now, it's not necessarily the gliding itself. I think the gliding turns just fine. You can get it wherever you want. It's fine. But my real issue comes in with, like, why the heck is it so, like, delayed to start gliding? I can't help but feel that, like, every time I try to glide, it's, like, slightly delayed, which messed me up a bunch of times. I genuinely don't know if I'm going insane, but I swear this mechanic always takes, like, a couple frames to kick in. And it's not just, like, a little bit where it's like, oh, whatever, you just won't notice it. It felt like I kept like not gliding when I wanted to. It was very odd. And to go along with the gliding, what the heck is the camera in this game, dude? Like, yes, I know, whatever, early 3D game, of course the camera isn't good. I know, I gotta give it some credit, whatever, it's from its time, but dude, what is going on? This happens all the time. I trap the camera in some sort of wall, and since the game's like, oh, well, the camera can't just phase through the wall, it doesn't do anything about it, and so I have to, like, backtrack and, like, get a hold of myself, so whoa there. I get it, it's a game from its time, but blah, 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 but it doesn't work a lot of times. At least the speed stages have like an automated camera, so you know, it doesn't have the same level of jank here. I also think the hints system is a little bit dumb. Like, I get the point of it. The idea is that you use more hints, so you know, you're not gonna get the rank right. Well, like, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, really, that much. I'm more so annoyed that, like, these hints don't make any sense to me. I know, oh, well, you're just dumb, dude. It's common logic. But what the heck does this mean? Dark Sonic and blue like Sonic. I had no idea. I was flying around the level until I realized that it was literally because there's a Sonic image just drawn onto the wall. Oh my gosh. Like, I mean, I get it. It's like a clever hint or whatever. But like, I was... And also, what's up with those Mad Space hints? That junk is ridiculous. I swear, bro, there's literally not a single good thing about Mad Space except the environment, because it looks kind of cool. But that's it. Like, literally nothing about the stage is fun at all, bro. I swear, bro, I'm actually, like... Moving on from my Mad Space hate rant, I do want to bring up another interesting topic, and that is difficulty. You know, I was bringing up the hints and whatnot, but... difficulty is very weird in these levels. I have no other way to put it. I think it's a little bit too difficult for what it is. The speed stages and mech stages, like, the mech stages were too easy. I think the speed stages were perfect, but I feel like these are kind of difficult for, like, the wrong reasons. I mean, I do like difficulty in my Sonic game, it's pretty fun, but I also have to recognize the fact that I think the treasure hunting kind of doesn't do it that well. I appreciate the fact that there's a ranking system, and it's pretty cool to go through, but I still find it a bit annoying that still, at the end of the day, regardless of how you want to view it, there is some RNG to it. Now, it's not necessarily a ton. The earlier levels are definitely a lot more, like, predictable. But as you go on, it just becomes more and more and more luck-based. Like, for example, this run of Aquatic Mine. Nothing about this was skill. I just got really lucky with those shard placements. So it's not like I necessarily did anything crazy. It wasn't really a skill thing, like, at all. Oh boy, I got good placements. I mean, like, I can't help but feel that, like, even if I get an A rank, it's really not that satisfying because it's like, wow, guys, I got good RNG in my video game. Wowzers, so fun. Now, saying that, I don't want to sound like I think it's all RNG, alright? I just want to super duper clear that up because, yes, these stages do require skill to A rank. There is, of course, a skill element there, but I still think the RNG just kind of takes away from that because, like, well, it just doesn't feel as rewarding. Now, I'm very thankful that there is a ranking system because it does give some incentive to come back to the levels because if it wasn't there, I, like, wouldn't replay these, like, ever. But since there is one, I do come back to it occasionally. So the ranking system does serve its purpose, but I just had to mention that I think it's a little overly difficult sometimes due to the RNG, and also a little bit too easy sometimes due to the RNG. So really, to be honest, unlike the Mech Stages video where I was like, oh, well, you know, Adventure 1 is cool and fun, but I'm gonna be honest, while I do like Knuckles in Adventure 1, and I think that the radar is fixed and stuff, you know, at the end of the day, I just don't find treasure hunting as a playstyle that fun. Like, low-key, it's just kind of mid. Like, I mean, it's just, I don't know, I see the appeal, kinda, but like, I don't know, I just don't see how it really fits in with a Sonic game. To me, it's in a similar vein as the Werehog, because I actually find the Werehog quite fun, actually. I think the Werehog is really good, but like, why is this in a Sonic game? Like, I don't even mean like, oh, Adventure 1 versus Adventure 2, like, it's just like, why is this in my Sonic game? I know that people like, oh, variety and whatnot, but to be honest, my favorite Sonic games are the ones that really don't have that much variety. Now, I want the game to switch it up occasionally, but, like, Generations and Colors are, like, some of the highlights of the series for me. I mean, Frontiers is a good example, too. That's my current favorite Sonic game, and it's like, well, that game is, like, 15 hours of just pure Sonic gameplay. Like, yeah, it has a gameplay loop, and yeah, there's lots of elements and new things thrown at you. It's definitely new content, and the game does find some pretty, you know, fairly interesting ways to switch it up, but I find that game so fun because it's just pure fun Sonic gameplay. I think Sonic games typically, when they try to be, you know, all unique and have all these other gameplay styles and all this and that, I think that's when stuff starts to get watered down and get diluted a good bit. I think the best Sonic games is when you're just kind of playing as Sonic. That's why Colors is like literally my second favorite Sonic game, because it's just boost gameplay and it's fun. That's it. There's nothing else to it. Literally, there's not a single other thing to it. It's literally just you play as Sonic for a couple hours. Like that's it. It's just fun. Now, I do agree. I think Colors could have used some variety, but I feel like Sonic games either go for a little bit too little of variety, and sometimes they go for too much variety, and it ends up just fending people off, because it's like, this isn't even a Sonic game anymore. What am I playing? So really, to wrap up this video, I think my biggest issue when it comes to Adventure 2's alternate playstyles has to be that I just don't really feel like those should be in a Sonic game, period. Even though I think Gamma is super fun, and I think Knuckles in Adventure 1 is better, I would have just preferred if Adventure 1 was just more Sonic gameplay. I mean, who wouldn't? And I wish that Sonic games would find different ways to keep the game fresh, other than just, here's an entirely other video game built in with your main video game. Like, I just don't see the appeal in that. And at least from my perspective, when people criticize Unleashed for the Werehog taking up most of the game, I think you also have to give that criticism to Adventure 2. Even if you find those other gameplay styles fun, I don't think you're going to come across most anybody who thinks these are more fun than the speed stages. Like, that would be a crazy take, I won't lie. So it's like, even if you love Adventure 2, I feel like we can come to a common ground and say that the majority of your playthrough of the game is the less fun stuff. Now, of course, the same could be said about Adventure 1, but I think Adventure 1 just simply does the gameplay better, in my opinion, in most cases. So I just like the game more. I mean, that's about it. So yeah, there we have it. I do hope all of you have a great rest of your day. God bless.